Throughout this series, the Surry County Substance Abuse Recovery Office interviewed a number of people who shared their stories of their recovery journey. We were struck by their strength and their resilience and their courage. We've collected their stories in this episode, and we think it's of great value to listen to what they have to say.
I had problems in my adult life. The good Lord saved me too. You know, I can sit here and talk about my family all I want to. This kind of goes back to what I said earlier about don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. It's a taboo. But I've had my demons also. And I'm living proof it can be done. The situation was, you know, working every day, never missed work, functioning, you know, just having a good time. But the good Lord sent a great woman that I'm now married to, 25 years. So, you know, you've got to want to. You've got to want to get straight. Nothing's going to work unless you want to. I've had dealings with situations that I've sent my daughter to rehab 4 times. I put her in jail twice. You know, my family is one of the statistics. I mean, you hate to demoralize it that way, but we're one of the statistics that we have lived through it. Hope came from basically my mother and father. Strong Christian people, strong, and small community here in Dobson. Everyone was praying, words of encouragement. And the good Lord sent a young man that I've known all of his life. He's a pastor. And when he first came into her life, I said, this ain't gonna work. She's, I believe she might be too far gone. But everybody kept encouraging, and I always knew there was hope. There was something there, because that wasn't my daughter that I was looking at. And sure enough, they got married. Everyone is conditioned to say that, you know, they're a hopeless case, let's move on. But no. And for instance, my daughter, she went back to school. She's an RN. So there are numerous success stories out there. Just some of her friends have turned their whole lives around, and a lot of my friends have turned their lives around. It can be done. Everybody's heard the old saying, it's not going to happen until they hit rock bottom. Well, a lot of them's hit rock bottom, and they've turned their life around. You know, there's a lot of truth to that.
I mean, I was pretty average. I graduated high school. After high school, I went into a job where I stayed for about 9 years. I worked for a company for 9 years. I left there, went to another company for 13 years. I was your average, everyday person. I went, you know, my 9-to-5 job, and I mean, just pretty normal. I had a social life. I had friends. We'd go out, you know, clubs, stuff like that. Never really anything huge. I functioned day to day. Still, you know, had my family, that kind of thing. Well, I was prescribed pain pills for a health issue I was having, and didn't realize that you could even get addicted to them at the time, honestly. But I lost my dad to suicide in 2013, along with my best friend. My best friend committed suicide about 6 months before. And it wasn't until then that I realized how much it covered up, how much it just pushed away from the surface. So after that point, I started using pretty heavily. It went from, you know, just taking a pill to maybe snorting it or something like that, and way more than I should have. And that's where it went downhill. When my partner at the time, we ended up splitting up. We had a home together. I ended up losing my home to foreclosure, losing my car, everything because of my addiction. That's when I realized this is real. This is something I can't get myself out of. Don't do it. Just don't. Not even one. Not flush them. Don't. It's not worth it. It made me feel, it turned me into somebody that I didn't know. It turned me into someone, I felt like in my 30s during my addiction that my life was over. I've had my daughter, I've accomplished this and this in life, and I felt like, okay, that's it, I've done it. And I thought it was over. I didn't care who I hurt, I didn't care who it hurt. As long as I knew I was gonna get high, it didn't matter what I was gonna do. I didn't care about anything. I would steal from anybody just to get what I wanted. I just did not care. That was all I cared about. It was my life. And so, you know, when I realized that I am worth it and that I could recover, it was like a bombshell to me. It really was. Family-oriented, goal-oriented, helper. I want to help people. I want to show people that we can and do recover. I know that that's not what a lot of people come out of recovery and they want to remain anonymous, and I want to show people that we're here and we do. I love my family. I love my life. I love my daughter.
I feel like the best thing about the inpatient facilities is, I mean, I know it's important to learn about your addiction, but the best thing that I've gained out of all of that is sharing stories with people. Realizing you're not, you know, a space alien. You are, you know, these people are in the same position as you are. There's, you know, you can all get better. I mean, there are people who have gotten better, and you can see them because there's a lot of those people teaching. And you can see they made it through. And then you can also see that, you know, I'm not the only one with the problem. This girl's addicted too. And as you tell the stories, you have some of the exact same stories. So it makes you feel like, okay, okay, I'm not by myself, you know, and then also the fact that you learn your coping skills. You know, that's where you start learning them. And you know, you realize suddenly that, wow, the world is still going on outside of your mind, and you are still spinning around in a circle in the same place you started. You started in the same place. You're still there, but nobody else is. And that is very sad when you realize that. Kids are older. You know, I can never forget my daughter coming, you know, she'd grown a foot. It seemed like, in like 8 months. The smallest amount of time lost with somebody you love is just horrible. That you give up. It's not, you know, it's wasted. It's wasted life. And also the fact that I only have so much time left, and I know I still have these things to complete on my checklist in life. And I'm not gonna give up and let it go. I got past the stigma, but it took me a long time. And until then, I wanted to hide under a rock or in a cave. I didn't want anybody to see me, my parents, my parents' friends, my classmates. I was so embarrassed by the fact that I'd done this. You know, like it was all my fault. Like I just chose to do it, which I did, but I didn't. But I can understand that. But that is why the first principle of AA is to admit it. There is such a freedom you gain by admitting it. And here again, you're not alone. Everybody has a story. More people than you realize have a story. And you know, what was it my daughter said? They're not going to eat you, you know. Most people, like today in my life, I still have almost on a daily basis people come up and say, I'm just so happy you're doing good. And that's even more empowering. And that's almost every day I have somebody doing that.
And that's kind of like where my addiction kind of started. Well, with hard drugs is where it started. I'd hurt my back while working, and started off on painkillers, you know, for my back, and I was never a type to go to the doctor, so I self-medicated. Pain pills took away my pain, and I just got that high feeling. But from daytime, after a while, I finally started going to the doctor and found out, you know, after years of my back hurting, finally found out it was, you know, slipped disc, I pinched nerves, had arthritis, I had deteriorating knees from just constant work, because I never missed a day. I worked sick, whatever, you know, I was always working. And after a while, that's the pills led to other things. Taking pills wasn't working, so I started snorting them. Snorting them wasn't working, so I started shooting them. Then the pills didn't work, and the heroin took over. And then it was just, I mixed everything up. Weren't in my recovery, I learned addiction, my mental illness, I guess, does play a lot with my addiction. Was other than the opiates, you know, it was benzos. You know, I'd be depressed, so I mixed my heroin with Xanax and nodding out. And didn't need to be passed out. didn't really like it, but then I started doing meth to keep myself awake. Get tired of being awake and uppity, and it just back to downers. But it all, for me, that's where my start was my back injury. So almost 20 years I've been an addict. I guess growing up, seeing my dad be an alcoholic, which now he's a recovering alcoholic. He's been sober, I guess, 20, 25 years, something like that. But I could let the alcohol, I'm not gonna be an alcoholic and quit that. But it was just hard to quit the drugs. 20 years or so, I've been an addict, but been a recovering addict for over 13 months. For about 2 months maybe, I would try to play both sides of the fence. It looked good for probation and the recovery services, trying to pass drug tests and do what I want when I'm not having to go there. Failed one too many drug tests for my probation officer, and he was gonna send me back to jail. But I guess he seen something in me and sent me back to treatment to give me a chance to actually get my life right. So I went to treatment Christmas Day, 2018, I think. I guess my probation officer kind of seen something in me, kind of gave me a little spark, like, okay, somebody other than my parents, and see something in me, think I can do this. Maybe I can do it, maybe I am worth it. My oldest kid will be 14 next month, she's 13. And not being there for her or her sisters most of her life, and just waking up one day and realizing, okay, my daughter's almost 13, what have I done for her? Seeing her have more of a relationship with her mom's husband than she does me, her actual dad. And then my other 3 kids the same way. It kind of hit me too late, but at least it did hit me. I wish it had hit me sooner. Wish I'd have been smart enough sooner. Wish I'd done this a long time ago. But my kids, that's what gives me the strength. It's crazy. I don't know how to put it in words. Everybody will do anything for the kids. Nothing comes before their kids. When I was out in the back alley or empty parking lot shooting dope, nothing comes before my kids is what I would tell people. My kids is my everything with a needle in my arm. And then one day I just got up and was like, my kids don't come first. To me, my kids don't come before anything. So that's my strength. So my support system, my parents, my mom, my dad, my fiance, Heather, and all my kids. I love y'all, and thank y'all for being supportive and sticking by me.
I did drugs for about 10 years of my life. I guess I got started like anyone else. Parties, hanging out with friends, smoking pot, drinking, a little cocaine, mushrooms, acid, whatever, one thing led to another. Slowly built up. I started taking pills, different things. And then one pill turned into 10, 10 turned into 20, it was expensive. Then, you go to, you can't afford it, then you're trying to rob, steal, whatever you can do to make ends meet to try to get it. It controls your life. That's all, you're chasing it, you're looking for it. That's all you think about. You don't care who you hurt, family, friends, loved ones. You know, it doesn't matter. That's all it does. And you know, I had my first son, and I was a functioning addict there for a while. You know, working, taking care of things, and it got out of control. You know, my grandparents was watching my son, and you know, I didn't want to go down that road anymore. You know, my grandparents raised me, and I wanted to be a father to my kid. I always said if I had a family, I'd be there to take care of them. And then from there, you know, your family, you tell them what's going on, explain to them. You know, I had to completely change anyone and everyone. I threw my phone away. It was, if you look at it, when you're using drugs, those people only want a ride to get drugs, money to get drugs. Do you have any drugs to share with me? That's all it is. You have to completely change that. Tell your family what's going on. I know that's a scary thought. That was a big thing for me, was to be honest with my family. But that's another part of your team on the road to sobriety. It's not just a one person. It's not just two people, a doctor and a counselor and you. It's everybody's got to be on board, or you never cross that bridge. If you never tell them to get those first steps, you'll never. I don't see how I could have done it on my own. Not in the state you're in, the situation you're in. You know, and then after you get to that point and you get through those first month, you start making a change. You start working. You start, you know, saving your money, doing right. You know, not going anywhere, not doing all these things. You know, your family starts to see that, you know, this is paying off. I personally, you know, I help them out any way I can, do anything I can for them, trying to pay them back for, you know, what I've put them through, what they've helped me with. You got to find stuff that you enjoy to fill that gap versus chasing drugs, whatever. Find things, you know, my kids, they make me happy, you know, I spend time with them, you know, working around the house. So I like to work on things, cars, whatever, you know, you think about doing it, you know, change your mind, go back on that, find something better to do with your life. It's out there, you know, and that's just kind of the way I went with it. You know, people don't know anything about it. It's crazy. Since I've become stable, you know, me and my wife, we're happy. You know, we're not fighting and arguing. I know when we first got together and was using drugs, God, we'd fight, punch each other, slap each other, and over drugs, over who's going to get the next hit. You know, our relationship has improved tenfold. You know, I'm a great father. I'm there with my kids. I'm doing schoolwork. I'm not putting them off on family members or dropping them off at a babysitter. You know, I'm going to work every day. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I'm not calling in sick every other day or using excuses. I'm not lying and cheating and stealing. You know, the bills are paid. The kids are fed. Everybody's happy. I've got a car, house, you know, TV, everything in it, bought new couches, furniture, you know. I spend my money on stuff that makes us happy. You know, we go on vacations now, you know. We'd never, ever do anything like that before. And, you know, my family, they're happy with me. They're happy, you know, I've came this far. They're proud. And that's one of the big things for me was to, you know, my grandparents raised me since I was 9 months, and to make them proud instead of ashamed was a big thing that I really appreciated.
Successful recovery from addiction does happen. Join us for the next episode of Surry, The Road to Recovery.